I still remember the exact moment my father-in-law laughed at my suit. Not a polite chuckle. Not a harmless joke. A loud, confident laugh that turned heads across the restaurant. And honestly, I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. The worst part wasn't the laugh. It was that everyone at the table joined in. My mother-in-law smirked. My brother-in-law whispered something to his girlfriend, and they both laughed. Even the waiter looked uncomfortable. I sat there in a $79 suit I'd bought from a discount store 2 years earlier, wishing I had worn something else. But I couldn't afford something else. Not after everything that had happened. My name is Ethan, and 3 years ago, I lost nearly everything. The company I worked for shut down unexpectedly. The savings my wife and I had built disappeared into mortgage payments, medical bills, and everyday expenses. We survived, but barely. While my wife's family lived comfortably in a world of luxury cars, country club memberships, and expensive vacations, I spent those years rebuilding my life one paycheck at a time. I worked double shifts. I took freelance jobs at night. I sacrificed weekends. Eventually, I started a small business consulting for local restaurants. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Slowly. Quietly. I was getting back on my feet. But my in-laws never respected that. To them, success was measured by labels, watches, and bank accounts. And that Friday night, they made sure I knew exactly where I stood. The dinner was supposed to celebrate my father-in-law's 65th birthday. He had chosen the most expensive steakhouse in the city. Crystal chandeliers. White tablecloths. Valet parking. The kind of place where the menu didn't list prices unless you asked. The moment I arrived, I noticed the looks. My brother-in-law wore a tailored Italian suit. My father-in-law had on a designer jacket worth more than my monthly mortgage payment. Then there was me. My old navy blue suit. Clean. Pressed. But obviously inexpensive. As I took my seat, my father-in-law looked me up and down. "Ethan," he said loudly, "you know they have dress codes here, right?" The table laughed. I forced a smile. "It's a suit." "Technically," my brother-in-law added. More laughter. My wife squeezed my hand under the table. She knew how much those comments bothered me. But I stayed quiet. I've learned something about insecure people. They expect you to fight back. Silence makes them uncomfortable. For the next hour, the jokes continued. They commented on my shoes. My watch. Even my car parked outside. Every remark came disguised as humor. Every laugh carried the same message. "You're not one of us." Then came the final insult. The waiter arrived with wine recommendations. My father-in-law ordered a bottle that cost nearly $2,000. When the waiter asked if anyone had preferences, I politely declined. "I'll stick with water." My brother-in-law grinned. "Smart choice. Save some money for a better suit." The table erupted again. This time, even nearby diners glanced over. I felt my face burn. But before I could respond, something unexpected happened. A man approached our table. He looked to be in his late 60s. Gray hair. Sharp black suit. Confident posture. The entire restaurant staff seemed to straighten the moment they saw him. He stopped beside me. And smiled. "Ethan?" I looked up. "Yes?" The man extended his hand. "It's good to see you again." I stared at him, confused. "I'm sorry, have we met?" He laughed. 3 years ago. Then it hit me. The small family restaurant on Oak Street. A struggling business I'd helped during one of the hardest periods of my life. The owner. Mr. Calloway. Back then, his restaurant had been weeks from closing. Sales were collapsing. Debt was piling up. No one believed it could survive. I spent months helping him restructure operations, redesign marketing strategies, and negotiate supplier contracts. The restaurant recovered. Then it thrived. I hadn't seen him since. "Mr. Calloway?" I asked. His smile widened. "That's right." Suddenly the entire table fell silent. My father-in-law looked confused. "So you know each other?" Mr. Calloway turned toward him. "Know each other?" He laughed. "This man saved my business." Nobody said a word. The silence felt different now. Heavier. Mr. Calloway continued. "When everyone told me to shut my doors, Ethan worked nights helping me rebuild. I felt embarrassed by the attention. It was just consulting." "Just consulting," he repeated. "My restaurants generate over $8 million annually because of his advice." I nearly choked on my water. Restaurants? Plural? I hadn't realized how much his company had expanded. My brother-in-law suddenly stopped smiling. My father-in-law looked uncomfortable. For the first time all evening, nobody had a joke. Then Mr. Calloway reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small leather key holder and placed it in front of me. The table stared. So did I. "What is this?" I asked. Mr. Calloway smiled. "The reason I've been trying to find you." I opened the holder. Inside were keys. Real estate keys. My confusion only grew. Mr. Calloway looked around the table. Then back at me. "Last year, I opened a new restaurant downtown." I nodded. "It became our highest performing location." "Congratulations. Thanks to the systems you originally designed." The room was completely silent. He continued. "I've been planning retirement." My eyes widened. And I want someone I trust running the company." I blinked. Several times. "What are you saying?" He pushed the keys closer. "I'm saying those are the keys to the corporate office." I stared at him, unable to process the words. "You built the foundation of everything we've become," he said. "I want you as Chief Operating Officer." My wife gasped. My mother-in-law nearly dropped her wine glass. My brother-in-law looked like someone had unplugged him. But Mr. Calloway wasn't finished. "The compensation package starts at $400,000 annually." Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Even the waiter stood frozen. Then came the sentence that changed everything. "I'd rather trust a man with character than someone wearing an expensive suit." The words landed like thunder. My father-in-law looked down at his plate. For the first time in years, he had nothing to say. No jokes. No criticism. No clever remarks. Just silence. I accepted the offer 2 weeks later. But the best part wasn't the salary. It wasn't the title. And it definitely wasn't proving my in-laws wrong. The best part came 3 months afterward. We gathered for another family dinner. This time my father-in-law treated me differently. Respectfully. Carefully. Almost cautiously. At one point he pulled me aside. "I owe you an apology." I looked at him. He continued. "I spent years judging you by the wrong things." Those words meant more than he probably realized. Because the truth is, success doesn't always arrive wearing designer clothes. Sometimes it shows up wearing a cheap suit. Sometimes it drives an old car. Sometimes it works quietly while nobody notices. And sometimes the people laughing the loudest are the ones who understand success the least. That night, as I walked out of the restaurant with my wife, she smiled and slipped her hand into mine. "You know," she said, "I always liked that suit." I laughed. Really? She nodded. Because it reminded me of the man who never quit. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't thinking about money, titles, or proving anything to anyone. I was thinking about something far more valuable. Character. Because expensive clothes can buy attention. Money can buy status. But integrity? Integrity earns something far rarer. Respect. And unlike a suit, that's something nobody can take away.